I was already running when the first flame leapt across the Hindenburg skin. One moment the great airship hovered over Lakehurst, enormous and delicate as a silver fish in evening rain. The next, fire raced along the fabric above the tail, and the whole docking field seemed to forget how to breathe. Men on the ground scattered, some diving for cover, others staring upward in stunned disbelief as rigging snapped and burning fragments whirled down around them. I knew at once what mattered most. If I could reach the internal vent valve path in the tail section, I might buy a few precious seconds before trapped hydrogen, heat, and structural collapse turned the entire stern into a furnace no one could approach. So I seized a mooring line, planted my boots against the frame, and began to climb. The outer covering was already peeling away, exposing the duralumin skeleton beneath like the ribs of some gigantic mechanical beast. Hot metal burned through my gloves. Embers stung my face. Below me, sailors and ground crew shouted warnings I could barely hear over the growing roar. "Keep back from the tail," someone yelled. Commander Charles Rosendahl was on the field, directing the emergency response with the sort of sharp, practical courage that chaos always demands. I caught only a glimpse of him through smoke and swinging lines, but that was enough to understand the scale of the confusion. This was no orderly landing gone wrong. This was history tearing itself open in front of us. I climbed anyway. To understand why the destruction of this one ship shook the world, you have to know what the Hindenburg represented before the fire. This was not merely an aircraft, it was a floating promise. Germany's great Zeppelin program had turned airship travel into spectacle. Passenger decks, dining rooms, Atlantic crossings that made the ocean feel smaller and the future feel grander. For a brief, glittering moment, people believed these leviathans might define long-distance travel. But the Hindenburg also carried the tension of its age. Safer helium was scarce and politically restricted, so hydrogen filled the vast cells above the passenger spaces, making the ship magnificent and terribly vulnerable. By 1937, Europe was already hardening. National pride, propaganda, and technological ambition were becoming tangled together. The Hindenburg was luxury, engineering, and politics, all stitched into one airborne symbol. Its final arrival at Lakehurst had already been troubled. Bad weather delayed the landing. Storm conditions forced caution. By the time the ship made its approach to the mooring mast on 6th of May 1937, the process had become a tense balancing act. Glide in, hold position, drop the lines, let the ground crew take hold, and settle the giant ship with care. That docking sequence was always the vulnerable moment. The accepted history would debate static electricity, leaking hydrogen, and the fatal chain of conditions that turned danger into catastrophe. As I pulled myself higher into the burning frame, I still believed I was racing a tragic accident. Then I saw the first flash inside the structure, sharp and concentrated in entirely the wrong place, and I knew I was not climbing into an accident at all. Buried in the tail framework was the answer, a resonant emitter, its casing plated with the same unstable isotope I had seen in earlier investigations. So the hidden hand had not merely touched this disaster, it had engineered it. A saboteur came at me through the smoke, and we fought in near silence on twisting metal as the stern gave way beneath our boots. I ripped the resonance loop free, killing the larger atmospheric collapse the device was building toward. The crash still came. On the field below, rescuers moved through smoke around the wreck, and the age of passenger Zeppelins ended before my eyes. Then the operative vanished into soot, carrying a dossier marked with the same symbol I would one day see at Trinity.